North Carolina. From the mountains to the sea, it's a place with abundant and diverse streams, rivers, lakes, and wetlands. Federally mandated to manage and protect our diverse waterways through a permitting process is the Wilmington District Army Corps of Engineers. This permit process is designed to allow reasonable development through fair, flexible, and balanced permit decisions. The Corps' mission is based on the Clean Water Act of 1972 and the Rivers and Harbors Act of 1899. These acts require the Corps to issue permits for the discharge of dredge or fill material and for any work in or affecting a navigable water of the United States. Typically, the Corps issues two types of permits: general and standard permits. General permits include nationwide permits and regional general permits. Standard permits are usually individual permits. Individual permits, or IPs, are normally reserved for projects with considerable impacts to aquatic resources. An IP requires a full public interest review, including public notices and coordination with involved agencies, interested parties, and the general public. Also, the individual permitting process requires that the applicant provide an analysis of project alternatives that would avoid or further minimize impacts to the resources. Applying for an IP can be a lengthy and complex process, so we strongly recommend that you contact the appropriate Corps representative to arrange a pre-application meeting to discuss the project before submitting the application. An application and instructions for the individual permit can be found on our website, along with public notices of current and past IP applications. Also, please watch our other videos and find out more detailed information on the IP process and alternatives analysis. Now let's talk briefly about general permits. General permits were established to streamline the evaluation and approval process and to allow the Corps to focus more detailed attention on review of activities that could result in significant impacts to the aquatic environment. General permits change periodically, usually every 5 years, and cover broad categories of activities, and require the user to comply with all stated conditions. One type of general permit is called a nationwide permit. These permits are issued nationwide and apply to a specific category of activities. Some examples of commonly used nationwide permits used in Wilmington District include activities associated with residential and commercial developments, construction or maintenance of utility lines, bank stabilization work, and transportation projects. The Wilmington District has added special regional conditions to these nationwide permits to ensure that the aquatic resources of North Carolina are protected while using these permits. For example, one regional condition prohibits in-stream work in any of the 25 designated trout counties of North Carolina between October 15th and April 15th. This protects trout during their spawning season. One benefit of the nationwide permitting program is that it limits impacts to aquatic resources. For example, for most nationwide permits, the threshold for impacts is a ½ acre of jurisdictional waters to include wetlands, or 300 linear feet of stream channel. If this threshold is exceeded, then an applicant is not eligible to use that nationwide permit, and the applicant should reduce their impacts or apply for an individual permit. Regional General Permits, or RGPs, are the other type of general permits and are specific to the Wilmington District for certain activities within waters and wetlands of North Carolina. Regional General Permits can be used for very minor activities such as the construction of boat ramps, piers, and minor maintenance. The Wilmington District also collaborated with the State Coastal Management Program to establish a programmatic general permit to authorize some activities in the coastal zone. Interestingly, general permits are not necessarily permits per se, but rather an authorization or verification that your work is covered by an existing general permit. General permits are typically reissued every 5 years, and written verifications remain valid between 2 and 5 years. Project managers work very hard with applicants to ensure that projects, whenever possible, can qualify for these general permits. This is a win-win situation. It results in less impact to the aquatic environment and a faster Corps authorization for the applicant to get started with the work than if the individual permit process has to be pursued. Furthermore, the cost of pursuing an individual permit is higher if the project can qualify for a general permit. The Corps project managers in the Wilmington district have been able to successfully work with permit applicants so that about 90% of the requests for permits in North Carolina can qualify for nationwide, regional, or programmatic permits. But this requires diligence from the applicant to ensure that all conditions are met. Please visit our website for a current list of all nationwide permits, regional general permits, and associated conditions. Now let's talk about the permit application process. Some activities authorized by general permits require an application to the appropriate regulatory field office before work begins. This notification requirement ensures that any authorized activities will have minimal adverse impacts on the aquatic environment. The district, in conjunction with the North Carolina Division of Water Quality, has developed an application form known as a pre-construction notification, or PCN, that will address all reporting requirements for general permits. It also addresses related requirements by other state and federal resource protection programs to ensure the proposed work meets all of the regulatory requirements for work in waters or wetlands in North Carolina. Typically, PCNs take up to 45 days to review after the Corps receives a complete application, while individual permits can take substantially longer. The PCN, along with detailed instructions, can be found on our website, or you may contact your local Corps office for an application. All Corps permit applications are joint applications with the North Carolina Division of Water Quality, or DWQ. The state of North Carolina is authorized under Section 401 of the Clean Water Act to manage certain activities that impact their wetland and water resources. Section 401 also gives the states the authority to grant, deny, or condition certification of federal permits or licenses. Most projects also require a written 401 water quality certification, so contact your local DWQ office for more information. Just remember that when applying for a permit, any project application must have a well-defined project purpose and need. Also, before any permit is issued, an applicant must show that they have avoided and minimized impacts to the greatest extent practicable. The best practice is to avoid and minimize all impacts to streams and wetlands. This will increase your likelihood of successful permitting and determine if mitigation is required. Please visit our website for a link to our mitigation introductory video or for any other information regarding permitting. Thank you for watching, and please contact us if you have any questions.